What is up, everyone? This is your host, Eric Holtzman, and welcome to the Mindful Motion Podcast. What is up, everybody? I am here with James King III, the owner of James King III Fit. James has built his business around helping motivate clients to adopt a healthy lifestyle long-term so that they can cultivate a body they love and feel confident and proud in their own skin. James does in-home training, online training, and he makes it easier for clients to stay consistent by going to their location or offering in-home training so that they can consistently train without having to miss sessions due to a busy schedule. James went through his own journey transforming his body by losing 50 pounds, which is no small feat by any means, and doing the things that he teaches his clients so that he can have the lean body that he has today. James puts a ton of effort and value on communication and creating a safe, fun, enjoyable exercise process for people so that they can get the most out of their training. So, James, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. I know you have a lot of wisdom, and your personal experience too will be very relatable and very valuable for people to hear. I would love to just dive in on how you were able to lose 50 pounds in the first place. I mean, that's no small number, and it's a very big accomplishment. What did that look like? What was your journey like?
Well, first, thank you for having me on today, Eric. I really like that intro music. I was vibing to it. I was like, okay, I'm just digging it. But for me, my 53-pound weight loss journey, it began in 2017. At that point, I had tried to lose weight previous years with the whole goal of, I'm gonna look my best for spring break and whatnot. That year, I'd learned a little bit more of a sustainable approach through building habits one by one versus trying to do everything all at once. I joke that before I did lost the 53 pounds, that summer prior to that, I tried the keto diet and only lasted one afternoon because I did the most extreme thing I could think of and it just did not work out. So I took more of a sustainable approach. It took me an entire year of 2017 to do it. But since I took that time, I was able to build foundational habits that I've been able to maintain 6 years later now. So very slow and steady, starting off with stuff like, okay, I'm going to aim to increase my steps by this much. I'm going to begin to eat vegetables. I'm going to learn what vegetables are instead of avoiding them at every possible opportunity. And just building those slow, unsexy habits one at a time.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that does sound like real, you know, like everyone's always looking for the magic bullet, but that hardly seems to be something that people find that often. You mentioned you changed habits and you clearly had a system when you were overweight that wasn't working. What did that look like? When you were overweight, like what was your day-to-day life like?
Mm-hmm. So I was active in terms of lifting weights. But outside of that, I walked as little as possible, moved as little as possible outside of the workout. My nutrition wasn't nearly where it should have been. Like I said, I probably for like a 3-year span, I could probably count on two hands how many times I willingly ate vegetables. So I didn't really have good nutrition habits. All I did was strength train, and I lifted heavy. Didn't practice any recovery, just knew I was supposed to be eating protein, a lot of food, but didn't really have any baseline habits of like, okay, these are alternatives other than chicken, rice, and broccoli when you occasionally do it. And I didn't have the best drinking habits where my social life was a higher priority than my health at that time. Which limited the amount of progress I was able to have. I had these two competing interests at that time.
Gotcha. So you had to take a step back and, you know, set up your priorities in a different light.
Yeah. So one of the things I always focus on with my clients is focusing on the pleasure and pain. There's pleasure and pain to all of our habits, whether even if there's considered to be unhealthy, like drinking or socializing. And there's pleasure and pain associated with healthy habits like working out or eating healthy. So sitting down, taking the time to weigh out, okay, what are the pros of me making this change? What are the pros of me not making this change? What are the cons of me making this change? And what are the cons of me not making this change? And then from there, once I did that, it became clear to me that living a healthier lifestyle was something that fully aligned with my values, and the living the lifestyle I was previously living wasn't really what I truly valued anymore.
That sounds like a good exercise for anyone to do. Do you have your clients do this also, like write out their goals, pros,
Mm-hmm.
con list type of thing?
Yeah, it's one of the first things we go over right around the goal setting process, and it's something I encourage my clients to actively add to throughout, because it's gonna be because I want you should really think about it. It shouldn't be like a 30-second thing. It should be
Mhm.
something where your deep reflection. I encourage creating a list, creating the 4 quadrants, creating the list, and then when you're out and about, think about it. You may have a new idea of like, oh, that's a pro, and think of every single positive to making a change. Think of every single con, and then once you have it clearly laid out for you, becomes a little bit more motivating. Where on a Monday in the winter, having 6-pack abs may not matter to you, but having energy for your workday may be important at that time, and that pro may outweigh the temptation of skipping the workout or eating unhealthy.
Do you ever get pushback from people when you suggest they do this, or people that just don't do it because maybe it's too painful to think about these things, reflecting on where they're at and where they want to be, or people pretty
Mhm.
open to doing this?
I always tell my clients that you can share this list with me or not. Uh, Most of them are willing to share, some of them aren't, and then some of them don't really see the value in it. So I don't really, my whole coaching process is, hey, um, this is what I've seen to be the best type of best approach. You have the choice though in terms of your decisions and what you're open to doing and what you're not open to doing. So
Mhm.
some clients don't share it. Some clients probably don't take it as serious. And then that's a reminder for me just throughout that coaching process, okay, to build that education here and there, and try to bring it back to the pros and cons as much as possible, but not make it something that a client feels like they have to do if they're not ready for it.
Okay. Yeah, leaving open and space for meeting them where they're at, essentially.
Yeah.
So, looking back at your life in 2017 and now where you are currently, like, how has your life changed making this body transformation changes in your health and lifestyle? What's different?
Yeah. Man, so much. Because right now I'm 29. In 2017, I would have been 23. So my perspective on what health is has changed tremendously. Um, at that time, the most important thing was, okay, looking a certain way. It's like, oh, I want to look a certain way. And then having the limiting beliefs throughout that process of saying, oh, can I look that way? And now today, my focus is much more, like I said, on the full pros. The reason why I struggled before 2017 was because the only reason I wanted to be in shape was to look a certain way. And I tell my clients now, if the only reason you have for losing weight or eating healthy or working out is to lose body fat, lose weight, you won't last long. You
Hmm.
need more big benefits, more motivators. So for me now, I emphasize the energy benefits, the mood boosting benefits, the cognitive benefits, the stress management benefits. So I'm now much more focused on the holistic results of living a healthy lifestyle. Where at that time it was just, hey, I want to look a certain, I want to be beach ready,
Hmm.
which didn't work out for me. The most when I had that mindset, I was the least beach ready. Now, since I have this more of a holistic approach, I'm where I want to be physically, but much more importantly, I'm where I want to be mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, I think that I can relate to that. Every time I
Yep.
try to dial my nutrition in, it would never motivate me just to be focused on the appearance side. It's just too shallow, too superficial, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think most people are that way. Maybe the select few really get super motivated by aesthetics, but
Hmm.
it doesn't seem to really hit home for a lot of people. Otherwise, everybody would
Yeah.
be super fit, right?
And
Um,
it can be on the list, but I always say, okay, let's add things to that list. Let's make that list longer. Like, it can be the what you believe is the most important thing right now, but let's add to that and expand beyond that.
sure. And on top of it too, it's not, maybe you can touch a little bit on this, but do you think you having a low body fat percentage is required to be healthy, or is
Oh,
there maybe a spectrum person to person?
that's a great question. I tell some of my clients who are really obsessed over, like, they'll send me like these Instagram reels of these fitness influencers who are doing these crazy things, and they'll ask about my past with doing natural bodybuilding competitions. And I tell them all the time, when I was lean enough to step on stage to compete in natural bodybuilding, that's probably in the last 6 years the unhealthiest I've been in terms of the hormones been out of whack, being irritable, right? So yeah, I do not believe that physique is the direct indicator to health. I think as fitness professionals, personal trainers, our goal should be, one, to help our clients exercise more, improve their eating habits, and change their behaviors. Uh, I think you can argue about diets, you can argue about what type of exercise, but we can agree on those. I think everyone can agree on those three basic principles. So if someone's exercising more, if someone's improving their eating habits, then they are at a healthier place. We don't have to um, categorize them by body weight or BMI, because if we can focus on those things, which they have control over, then we'll get the results.
Mm,
But encouraging, hey, let's move more. How can we increase your step count? Oh, you worked out this many days per month last month. Now you're working out this many days. Oh, these are the nutrition changes you've made. If we can emphasize that, then the results will come. And I think the fitness industry as a whole would just be in a much better place
mm,
versus just focusing on appearance and outcome based
mhm.
goals.
Yeah, that's really wise. External outcomes might be a losing battle, at least at the beginning. It's a
Yeah.
long journey, right? It's very,
Yeah,
I think you
exactly.
get discouraged if you don't see big changes in a couple months, and that's not doing
Hmm.
anyone any good.
No.
Um, so, how did you get into helping people with body fat loss as your niche, essentially? Like, was there certain types of education that prepared you for it, or was it just your personal experience, self-educating yourself? Like, what? How'd you get into it?
Hmm. Well, my personal journey definitely helped out a lot. I went to Northern Illinois University and I majored in exercise science. I was like, okay, I'm a trained athlete. And while I was in school, I started personal training because I just wanted to be I wanted to work in the fitness industry. I didn't want like a cafeteria job or anything like that. And then through that, most people who come in the door have those goals of, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. And I realized I really liked working with just the regular person who may have this limiting belief and this goal, and then helping them achieve that goal of moving a little bit more, moving better, feeling better, fitting into their old dress again, fitting into their old pants again. That brought me a little bit more satisfaction than making someone faster
Mm,
uh, for a game or sport. So I kind of shifted my focus from sports performance to, like, okay, I want to help people with this, because I know when I went through my weight loss journey, my confidence grew. It showed me that I had the ability to change, which I think is the most powerful feeling a human being can have, is understanding that you have control over your life. Um, and so since I experienced that myself, I've been kind of dedicated to helping others experience it. But like I said, we can put the weight loss goal at the top, but what really helps me and motivates me is when I get a client who says, "Oh, I worked out. I added 2,000 steps to my daily step count last week," or oh, I'm implementing this nutrition change, and seeing those things, celebrating those victories brings me more joy than um, the body weight or the body
Mhm.
fat loss.
Yeah, because you know what those changes mean long term.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Mm. You
like
touched on
just
something. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you can go.
Yeah, you touched on something that I think is worth noting. You mentioned something about limiting beliefs. Um, so where do you think beliefs play? Like, what kind of role do you think beliefs play in this whole process? And what do you mean by limiting beliefs exactly?
That's a great question. Limiting beliefs is like the negative self talk, the negative chatter, usually that inner critic who tells you, oh, you can't do this. Oh, this is hard. Oh, I failed at this once before. I failed at it again. Um, I believe the most important thing. I, One of the things I like to say is it doesn't matter if I give my client the perfect workout program or someone has the perfect nutrition plan, right? If after one missed meal, they're like, "Oh my god, I'm a failure and I can't do this." Right?
Mm,
If that's their mindset, then we're not going to build long-term adherence. So I think mindset comes before everything else. And I think when we work with beginner clients, that should be a point of emphasis. I tell my clients that you can curse my name during sessions. You can curse, right? I don't curse. I like to keep it PG, but I will not stand for any limiting beliefs. So if a client says I can't, I'm like, whoa, 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 let's switch that up. If they say I'm weak, I'm like, no, 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 let's stop. Let's switch that up. Let's turn to something more positive. So we could help clients reframe it, right? Instead of saying I'm weak, maybe saying um, I'm not as strong as I would like to be, but every workout I'm getting stronger,
mhm.
right? Or uh, just identifying those beliefs and saying, oh, okay, I'm having that thought. This thought doesn't equate to something being actual in reality. So switching the negative talk into positive self-talk also with affirmations also works well. Yeah,
Okay.
but I think that's the most important part to long-term adherence is how we speak to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's often not talked about enough, the psychology behind, well, food, eating, changing, losing weight
Hmm.
almost becomes your identity, the current state you're in,
Yeah.
right? Like when you were 50 pounds overweight, that was probably something that made you who you were at that time.
Hmm.
You had to reconstruct all these different aspects of your identity to change that so you can be this new person who's leaner and healthier and so on, right? But
Yeah.
that comes in stages, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's why kind of taking a step-by-step approach with making changes gradually helps out a lot. I remember when I went through my weight loss journey, I was taking my meal prep to work in like plastic bags, and I would like rush to my office. And because I at that time I didn't see myself as the person who showed with a meal prep bag and like, yeah, I meal prep my food, right? I didn't see myself as that person. So I was like, oh my God, people judge me if I have this and that. And it was gradual. It was gradual changes over time where I had the confidence, like, I don't care. Yeah, I meal prep my food. That's what I do. But yeah, it's definitely how we see ourselves play a big role. That's why catching yourself when you're using that negative self-talk, reframing it into positive self-talk is essential for long-term adherence. So, because like you said, it becomes our identity.
Yeah. Do you think you have when you reframe? I've done this many times. I reframe something in a positive light, but I might not actually believe it at first. I think over time, by just doing that, you start to believe it. Do you think it's important someone believe it initially, or is it okay that they don't, but they're just kind of working through it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's okay if someone doesn't believe it initially. Believe in repetition. The more you do it, the easier it gets. But then understanding that there's many different forms of it. So maybe reframing your negative self-talk doesn't work for you, but maybe um, coming up with positive affirmations will,
Hmm.
or maybe just tracking your negative self-talk and seeing what's the most common negative things you're saying to yourself will work for you. And then kind of examining the evidence, seeing, okay, is this what makes this true and what makes this untrue? So there's many different strategies you can use there with it. Not feeling like you have to force yourself to do something, but exploring with it and being aware of that and how it plays a role in your fitness journey is important. The most important. As long as we can bring awareness, then from there we can explore different alternative opportunities.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I mean, everybody's going to jive with one way of doing things. It's nice to have options to pull from.
Yeah.
So what do you think are like, I know this is a hard answer to come up with, but like the top 3 to 5 things people should be considering when it comes to losing body fat and maintaining that change long term?
Top 3 things. One would be addressing any negative self-talk, so mindset, making sure you're aware of your negative self-talk, and then using as many motivational tools as you need, whether it's music, motivational quotes, starting your day off with a motivational video, reading audiobooks, finding something to actively motivate you along your fitness journey. Just because we have so much pulling for our attention that is negative, whether it's food advertisements, the things we see on social media, work, right? These things that seem urgent and more important than our fitness goals. So find some way to actively work on your mindset in a positive way. Then 2, finding some type of movement that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be strength training for everyone. It doesn't have to be yoga for everyone. It doesn't have to be Pilates. Yes, we know that people should strength train a certain amount of days per week. Yes, we know that if people reach a certain level of minutes in terms of moderate activity, their health benefits improve. But we just have to get people moving. People aren't moving enough. So if someone likes to have a little bit, enjoys doing some type of physical activity more than other, then let's choose that. Let's get you moving. And then maybe months from now, you introduce some more structured or different form of activity. But mindset, finding movement you enjoy, and then finding a dietary approach that you can adhere to as well. So once again, I always like to find common things. So I don't think you can find any diet that will say we need more added sugar, more processed foods. So whatever diet you flow with, find that. But instead of trying to change everything at once, just focus on one big change. So one small change. So, okay, I'm not eating enough vegetables. I'm going to start there. I'm not eating enough protein. I'm going to start there. And notice it's not I'm taking something out, it's I'm adding something in. So find that dietary approach and then find what you can add in that you're not doing. Because then once you do that, those unhealthy behaviors will fall out. So focus on abundance versus deprivation when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of times people do too much at first and then they burn out and it's just overwhelming and they can't stick with it. So I
Yeah.
think doing that makes it more obtainable and, sustainable, really.
Yeah. Like I said, when I went on that keto diet, I lasted one afternoon and at that time I had no routine of eating any vegetables or anything like that. I was like, oh, I'm just not supposed to eat carbs. Okay. And then I caved around like 2 p.m. with a huge bowl of cereal in a dark, dark room.
Dark room, that's a nice touch. So I get what you're saying about, finding what works for people. I get that 100%. But in a perfect world, if someone's going to listen and adhere to whatever you decide to give them, what types of exercise have you found to be most effective for losing body weight from your experience?
I have found full body workouts. So for the busy person, most people are just busy day to day. So full body workouts 2 to 3 times per week. So full body strength training, working large muscle groups. So doing your squats, your pulls, your presses, your hinges, 3 days per week. And then from there, I've seen so many clients track their activity with like the Apple Watch and close their move ring, but have a really hard time seeing progress because they'll work out for that hour and then sit down for the rest of the day and get like
Mm,
4,000 steps. And I've seen some clients who just get their steps in and they have consistent progress. So
mm,
after the strength training, I would say monitoring your steps, getting as close to that 10,000, 12,500 step range as possible. But
mm.
if someone's at 5,000, just aiming to increase by 2,000 steps. I've seen people get past plateaus, and then once the plateau settles in there, once again, slightly increase it. But jumping from the 5,000 to 10,000 for most people is really difficult. But monitoring step count, and then from there, if someone has the time, getting in the cardiovascular activity outside of that, whether it's 2 to 3 days per week, for 30 to 20 minutes each time. But the two most important things I've seen: full body strength training workouts and monitoring the step count, making
Got it.
sure we're moving throughout the day.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, though, you're saying more than just steps, it's just having motion on a
Yeah,
regular basis and day out. Because you could ride a bike and you won't get any steps for that, but it's
yeah,
still
yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
that consistent movement thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
consistently moving.
I was in Paris not that long ago, and I was hitting like 15,000 steps a day, not even trying. And was like, this
Mm-hmm.
is crazy because in LA we don't walk anywhere, so
Yeah,
it's you got to like make an effort to like walk,
yeah.
and it's just like a weird problem we have these days in the modern era, you know?
Yeah, and usually like I'll get I don't know if you experienced that when you went to Paris. I know when I went a few years ago, but I know when the clients like they're like, "Oh, I'm going to Vegas or I'm going to Europe," and if they're a weight loss client, I'm like, "Okay, uh, we'll find some things that they're willing to commit to." But often they're gonna walk a lot and be like, "Hey, don't be surprised if you lose weight after this trip." And they often do because of just the step count, just the moving that they come back. I know I lost weight when I went to Europe, and I've seen it time and time again.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's not like you're eating less, you're probably eating more, if
Oh
anything.
yeah, definitely, yeah. But
That's
that's the amazing benefit of it.
yeah, so everyone just needs to go to Europe.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta move to Europe. Yeah.
So you kind of talked about this a little bit. Maybe some other things will pop up. Like, what kinds of problems do you run into when you're helping people lose their body weight or basically change lifestyle and habits? Like, how do you deal with these types of problems that come up?
Hmm. Well, the most common problem is with the one of the biggest goals you want is buy-in, right? You want the client to buy into your approach, trust you, that you have their best interests in heart, and that you're on their team. And I think we're getting to that place now where people are taking more of a holistic approach, right, and focusing on the stress management benefits of eating healthier, moving more, the emotional benefits and mental health benefits. But the biggest challenge is getting someone past the idea of, hey, I just need you to tell me what meals to eat and what workouts to do, because if a lot of people are still stuck in that approach, unfortunately. And if it was that simple, then we wouldn't have the obesity numbers that we have in this country, and just the diet failure rate. It goes much deeper than that. So getting someone to buy into the idea that, hey, understanding what your values are matter, and understanding how this connects with your values matter, understanding what are the pros and cons like we talked about, setting a clear vision of the future for you, learning from taking the time to reflect on what's working and what's not working for you, and creating personal strategies, right? Learning from those failures, using it as feedback. So getting someone to go much deeper than the macros or the meal plan, that's usually the toughest part. But what I've been able to do, luckily, is get a lot of client feedback and testimonials, and where they touch on, hey, the mindset element was a total game changer for me. The different activities and exercises that James has me does really helped change my perspective on this. But that's definitely the toughest I've seen is getting someone past the idea of like, hey, okay, this is the macro range you're supposed to be focusing on, but hey, I will warn you, we will go much deeper than this.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it's definitely clear that everybody comes from different cultural backgrounds and different life situations to say that you should follow this approach because that's what science says it's going to fall short. I mean, what if
yeah,
you're, Hispanic and tortillas are just part of your thing?
yeah,
You can't just expect to say don't ever eat those, right? So
yeah.
there must be a more um, complete picture, right, for people. And I think you're right though. It's hard for people sometimes to play that game of participating and figuring it out because they just want the answer, just do it for me, kind of thing. But
Hmm.
when it comes to health, we got to be our own advocates, and we need to be part of that whole process, and that's really important. It's awesome that
Hmm.
you do that.
Hmm.
So you do a lot of work virtually as well. I know you go to people's homes, but you do some online stuff also, right?
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, in your experience, how effective do you find the virtual training to be? And then what are some of the pros and cons to doing online training?
I believe online, like virtual training, definitely has benefit for the person who's super busy, may not have the most advanced fitness goals, right? So typically, virtual training works for someone who, hey, I just want to remain active. Okay. And if I lose some weight, great, but I just want to be active because I know I feel better. I have more energy to play with my kids. It works more for that type of uh, that fitness goal. And the benefits is it's more affordable than in person, than having a gym membership. Many of my virtual training clients work out with their friends or family members. So there's some type of community element as well. The cons to it as a coach is definitely the cueing. It's a
Mm,
little bit harder with the camera angle, but it's definitely made me a better coach because you have to get creative with the cueing. And then also in group settings, it can be a little bit difficult with the cueing because I like to give general cues initially because I don't like to call anyone out by name to start. But then if someone's not picking you up, trying to figure out, okay, maybe I got to say it in a different way. Okay, maybe
mm,
give them a visual here real quick with it, see if that helps. And then using it as a last resort of naming them by name, or I've done t-shirt colors before if you're wearing this color t-shirt. But the queuing is definitely the most difficult. Um, but I think it's a value. If I had to pick, I definitely prefer in person, but I think it's a valuable form of
mm.
coaching in this time and space and where we are. And then I also do virtual workouts for a fitness company called Sunny Health and Fitness, in which I'm able to touch thousands of people's lives at a grander scale, which is really fun in terms of just creating different workout programs for them, which is just kind of those follow along workout video options.
Yeah, that it does give you scalability to reach more people, and that's
Hmm.
awesome from a business side of things. But also, you can help more people, even if it's not as detailed, which is amazing.
Yeah. Just getting people moving and in a fun way too.
Hmm. Yeah, keep them coming back so it's enjoyable, right? Um,
Yeah.
So, how do you tie your nutritional advice planning into your transformation process? Like, do you have a sequence of events or do you have a way of doing things when it comes to the nutrition side of things?
Hmm. So I have some clients who are nutrition only. Then I've ran transformation challenges, which are majority nutrition based, where I'll include some work, some follow along workout options, but the majority, like the major work's coming with the nutrition for the transformation challenges. And then for my in home clients, I let them kind of dictate how much nutrition advice they need. Some just like the monthly recipe packs that I send. Some we do set homework goals in terms of habits and whatnot. So it's really based and catered to the individual and what they need. because I want to make sure that the main goal of them working with me is still the highlight. So most of my clients who train with me in person want a great in-person training experience, or they want a great virtual training experience. So still making sure that, hey, I'm coming into this workout engaged. We're going to make this fun. We're going to make sure we're tracking progress, so it motivates them. And then the nutrition is kind of like you remember that Salt Bay guy from back in the day. It's kind of like the little cherry on top there, but I let them dictate it. So I don't have my in-home clients a structured, okay, this is our 12-week program that everyone needs to go through, because most of my clients just want to first move more, and then I'll let them dictate the nutrition and remind them of the different services I offer.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the in-person's really about exercise, where the online thing might be a little more encompassing with the nutrition component.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use specific tactics or strategies when you're dealing with the nutrition side of things? Maybe food journaling, using MyFitnessPal, anything like that? Like, do you
Mm-hmm.
offer or suggest they do things in a certain way?
Mm-hmm. I always, for food journaling, offer options, just because if someone makes the decision, they'll have more ownership over it. So I have some clients who prefer to use photo food journal. I have some clients who prefer to log every single gram in MyFitnessPal. I have some clients who just like to write down what they ate. So I present the options and then ask them which one do they believe will work best for them, how confident they are on a scale of 1 to 10. And then just basically ask what would be the best way I can hold you accountable here. Then from there, I do have certain step-by-step systems we follow, where it's kind of a lifestyle questionnaire form where we get a full 360 view on what they're doing, how they manage their stress, how they manage their time, what information would they like more education on, like would they like additional information on time management, stress management, procrastination, just basic macronutrient education. Then based on getting that data, then I build out the program for them. And then with every client, I have these pillars I know I want to get clear on. I want to get clear on what their values are. I want to get clear on what their top 3 priorities are. I want to get clear on what's working for them week to week, what their pros and cons are for them, what their obstacles commonly are, what's worked for them in the past, because those things I can use later on throughout the journey in case if they hit a plateau, where it's like, okay, if I asked you what are your priorities were month 1 and we're in month 3, it's like, hey, remind me again, what are your top 3 priorities? Because on this date, you said nutrition was here. And now you have this big project that's coming in, and now more of a priority. Is that more of a priority than nutrition now? So using that information becomes valuable along the journey, that I just kind of make sure I capture for everyone without them knowing. I'm just saving them, like, okay, that's in the back pocket for when we need it.
You mentioned macro education, like, do
Mhm.
you aim for specific types of ratios? I know it will vary person to person, but for
Mhm.
example, it's pretty well established protein is sort of a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Do you, like, dial that in pretty soon, or, like, how do you navigate that component?
So typically I will have, which is tough because a lot of people, when they know someone's watching, they'll change their eating habits. But I encourage my clients to eat normally what they've been doing
Mm,
for at least 3 days. I was like, don't change anything up. Just do what you normally do. Your typical Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday. Do the same thing. Track it with what method works best for you. Let them know that, hey, the more accurate we can be here, the more success we can have. Right. So then from there, once we get their baseline, then assessing their weight. Calories is most important, then protein is second most important, like you said, and then the carbs or fats are based on preference.
mhm.
So I don't like to just use. So I had a client recently. He had his DEXA scan, and based on his height, weight, and his scan, they projected that he's supposed to be eating this amount of calories for to lose weight. We just said, okay, let's see what you're normally doing, and the calorie total that they gave him was way off because of his past history of dieting. So his calorie range was actually a lot lower. So that's why I just like to get a baseline. Then from there we set the calorie goal, and then from there we set the protein goal, and I give the client the option of if they want more carbs or more fats, but I don't let them drop below 20% normally in the fat category.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, you can have all sorts of hormonal issues and other
Mm-hmm.
problems if you drop fat too far.
Yeah.
Seen it with some people.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely don't want to get into that mess.
Yeah.
Um,
No.
do you like suggest supplementation ever, or is that a sort of afterthought?
For supplements, I'm a fan of kind of the basics for I think most people will need a vitamin D supplement, some type of fish oil or krill oil supplement, maybe a multivitamin, and then a protein powder. Because most people will find it really hard to get in enough protein. Like you said, the protein we've understood is a non-negotiable.
Mm,
And then from there, if I have someone who wants to make the most of their progress, we may add in a creatine supplement. But I don't get too much more advanced than that, maybe a beta alanine. But for
mhm.
everyone, I usually recommend a protein powder, a vitamin D supplement, or some type of omega-3 resource.
Okay, yeah, just covering some main things that we often don't get enough of. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, how do you deal with the issue? And no, tracking calories is helpful because obviously, although we don't want to simplify it by saying it's calories in and out is really the answer because it's more complicated. But at the end of the day, it really is about that. How
Mm-hmm.
do you reconcile the issues with counting calories, how inaccurate it can be, how the food labels can be 20, 30% off? Like, how do you deal with that component?
Mm-hmm. I encourage consistency because, like you said, those things can be off. But if we're consistently off, then
Mm,
there is some type of something we can make a decision on, right? So
mm,
even if it's not the most accurate, if we have some type of record of, okay, this is what we're doing, then we can make an educated guess moving forward.
mhm,
But so, but if it's one day of this, 2 days of that, tracking, then it's kind of like, is the plan working? We don't know because we don't know if we're actually implementing the plan. So I let my clients know, hey, consistency is better than being perfect here.
mhm,
As long as we have some type of a baseline. So
mhm,
some of my clients, we just track habits and we say, okay, are you consistently hitting your 3 habits? If not, let's hit those. And then often when we hit those, we see the progress. So consistency I've seen works better than trying to be 100% perfect. Because like you said, it's hard to do. And then we digest food differently, which also plays a role. So just building some type of consistent track record.
What do you do when a client, because I'm sure this happens often, when a client says, yeah, I didn't hit my habits, and that's been a consistent issue for them? How do you overcome that? Like, what kind of conversation might you have with them?
Well, it depends on the individual. So some and just their personality type. So first, I want to get an idea of what's the challenge, like what's the real challenge for that individual. Then from there, explore solutions together, letting them know that they're being heard. If we have some type of track record, exploring what worked in the past, and then with their permission, sharing my best advice, and then we decide on a solution together, moving forward. But yeah, it happens often, and then kind of preparing them ahead of time, be, because letting them know that, hey, you will slip up or there will be a plateau. But once again, the value in is if we have some type of track record, we can use that
Mm,
along with best practices to overcome that hurdle.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like you've taken a decent amount of data to help navigate and
Hmm.
make decisions, which is, I mean, valuable, no question.
Hmm.
How do you track your clients' progress with their body transformations or with their goals? Do you have like tools you use? You mentioned a DEXA scan. Do you like people taking that kind of thing? Like, what's that look like?
Hmm. So it's based on the client's preference. So some of my clients, if they step on a scale and it doesn't read the number that they want to read, they want it to read, it just completely demotivates them. So for that
Mhm.
individual, we don't step on scales. It's all based on, so I let my clients know, hey, these are the different ways we can track progress. We can take progress photos, we can take your body weight, we can do circumference measurements. Hey, this is a location where we can take a DEXA scan and get a clear body fat reading. There's also things we can do like called thermometer jeans, where you try on the same pair of jeans week after week, and if they fit tighter, I mean, fit looser and looser, that means we're getting warmer, we're moving closer to our goals. So
Mhm.
finding what we get clear on what method works best for them, and then we hold them accountable to that going forward. But I've learned from past, if someone doesn't react well to the scale or body fat readings, then we don't take those frequently. We take those less frequent. We find something that works best for them, which may be also sharing their week to week progress,
Mhm.
letting them know. Because, like you said earlier, that seeing the outcome, seeing the weight loss may take time. But if we know that beginner clients are typically going to see their strength increase pretty easily, right? So if we can share, hey, John, you increased your squat this month, by this much this month. Keep it up, right? Then it's okay. I'm seeing progress here, and then that will keep them on track. So we keep track of whatever body metric they like, and then finding other things I can celebrate with them that may keep them motivated as well, to stay in the game so we can get that outcome that they want.
Yeah, just whatever keeps them coming back and keeps them going forward. Smart.
Yeah. So like even tracking the amount of times they're working out, just like celebrating every little bit we can.
Yeah, I think we don't take enough time to celebrate the wins, even the little ones.
Yeah.
Do you utilize any particular exercise techniques or paradigms within your training process, or what's your exercise prescription based off of?
So depending on the client, I will do a movement assessment. So some clients will start with the FMS. Some of my clients don't, like, they're not like, I'm being scored, and like, oh, okay, that's the scoring range based on this, and it will negatively impact them. So it'll be just more of a basic understanding of seeing them squat, seeing them hinge, seeing how they press, things like that, getting a clear understanding of their exercise history, and then also getting feedback on what exercises they enjoy, what exercises they dislike. And then it's from there, it's the basic workout setup is warm up, some core activation, some balance work, then getting into the meat of the workout, doing our strength. Typically, all my clients, we do full body, supersets, upper body, lower body, hitting all the major movement patterns. And we have a cool down. And throughout that, I like to incorporate some type of engagement where at least one move during the workout, they wouldn't be able to do the exercise if I wasn't there.
Hmm.
And it would be me giving some type of fun cue. Like if I say a vegetable, you head this way. If I say a fruit, you head this way. Or it may be some type of fun exercise, some fun partner exercise, but something that could break a smile for them during that workout. I try to incorporate one of those. And then based on knowing the client, end with a cool, ending with a cool down move that fits them, right? So if a client's highly stressed, then okay, Amy's always stressed, so okay, make sure we incorporate some type of yoga or some type of mindful breathing and cool down. Hey, John is competitive. All right, let's give him a challenge. Let's give him a metabolic finisher here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this person really likes assisted stretching, so finding out what they like, and then I always make sure during that cool down I get understanding of, hey, scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank your effort during that workout? Hey, what exercise did you like most today? Okay, why did you like that the most? Oh, well, I felt really stable during this exercise. And okay, so you like to feel stable during your moves. Okay, ooh, so maybe not so much stability ball work going forward.
Mm.
So I always get some type of feedback, which then helps me fine tune their program going forward, and then also give them I show them that, hey, their say matters. I'm still detailing what we're going to do. It's still my program setup, but showing them that, hey, you said you liked this exercise last time, so we're going to do this today. Giving them that input so they enjoy it more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's really, really customized. Why organize it in the way where you're kind of going back and forth between upper and lower? It sounds like you're not really resting very long once you get into the meat of the workout.
Yeah.
What's the thought process behind that?
Yeah, so we have most of my clients I train twice per week. Some I train 3 times per week, and within that, I want to get as much work as I can. So we'll do a upper body strength move, and instead of resting for 60 to 120, 180 seconds, I'll work a non-competing muscle group. So we'll go into some type of lower body exercise so we can make the training more efficient. Also helps build some type of some sort of cardiovascular endurance, but we don't sacrifice the upper body strength when we work the lower body, and it keeps the client engaged. I think they want to feel like they're getting value for their time.
Hmm.
So making sure that we utilize as much of that time in an efficient way, but also effective way as possible.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you can only do so much in an hour, right? So you're gonna
Yeah.
sit around for 3 minutes, or maybe let's do something else while we're waiting
Yeah,
for
or
that.
it may be some type of corrective, also some type of core, some type of fun game, but making sure we utilize that time wisely.
Hmm. Yeah, like you mentioned too, right? The cardiovascular potential by keeping
Hmm.
your system stimulated is definitely valuable. Probably a nice adjunct for weight loss also. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
how do you determine, when your client session's over, the training session's over, how do you determine it was a good session? Like what makes it
Ooh,
successful for the client?
ooh, that's a tough one. I have this idea in my head of like the perfect session. It's like I'm looking for the perfect session every time. And it's like very, very hard to do. But when you have it, you know it, which is the client is engaged from the greeting, from the way I greet them, checking in on their emotional, their mental, physical state, setting up the workout properly in terms of my description for it before the client, getting them amped, getting the buy-in for that day, and based on who they are, framing the workout. So typically I may use that warm-up, doing a warm-up, I may share a quick motivational quote, a quick story to kind of get them amped or frame or touch on a subject that we touched on in previous weeks. Then we're getting the workout. They hit their goals for that workout, whatever that was, whether it's hitting a certain rep total or a certain weight total. They gave their best effort. There were a lot of sweat, their smiles all around, and then we finish with an engaging cool down. And I always love to practice gratitude at the end of my session. So practicing gratitude in a way that I can see that man, okay, they just had kind of an epiphany or a joyful moment by reflecting on some positive experience that they're grateful for, and then that to me is a perfect session, something where they feel like, okay, I got a little bit better today, I had fun, I'm motivated, and
Mm.
you know what, even though I'm working for this goal, I still have a lot to be grateful for right now.
Mm. Yeah, that's powerful, man. I mean, especially for the type of demographic that you're working with, where there might be
Hmm.
a lot of emotion surrounding what they're trying to achieve.
Hmm.
Gratitude is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Um, so, we're going to wrap it up in a few minutes. I know you got to get out of here, but I'm
Hmm.
curious, is there anything new you're really fascinated with right now? Could be professional, could be personal.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated with the idea of a second brain. I don't know if you've seen that term before, where it's like, which I'm sure you have the issue, not the issue, of the habit of just collecting so much information. Like, oh, that's a cool article, or oh, this is a course I'm studying, or I have this bookmarked, I have this saved, I screenshotted that. So it's this external database, whether through a note-taking app like Notion or Bear or just Google Drive, and then you categorize all of the information you have. So then it's readily available when you need it. Because there's this thing called recency bias. So when someone asks us, "Hey, what's your favorite supplements?" or "Hey, what's the best approach for getting past this plateau?" Rarely we'll think about the best information that we have. We'll often think about the most recent thing
Mm,
we came across. So having that database of different philosophies, common answers you give to frequently asked questions, makes it easy to create, whether it's content, whether it's programs, whether it's asking questions, where you can just go in, okay, mindset, positive psychology, boom, okay, and you can just
mm.
pull up that information, and it's quick. So there's this book I think called Second Brain that I'm listening to right now, but I've been putting together all of those resources recently, which is a lot, but really rewarding in a way.
That sounds awesome. I think I need to get on that. That sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
like I said, as a coach, we're always taking in ideas, and the whole goal of this is taking enough ideas that then, okay, you see, okay, what action can I take for this?
Hmm.
And it's the idea that we have all of the information that we need to succeed. We just have to kind of organize it and then let loose and create from that information, instead of just constantly consuming and
Mm.
consuming and consuming and consuming.
Yeah, yeah, that's intelligent for sure. I'm gonna be looking into that 100%. Last
Yeah.
question, I'll let you get out of here. If you could
Hmm.
go back in time 10 years and give yourself some advice, like what would you tell yourself?
10 years. Oof, 10 years. I would say, hmm, the first thing that came to my mind, 10 years, I was a business major for one day in college. Then I switched to exercise science. I probably would say continue to be a business major.
Hmm. Why would you
Yeah,
say that?
because I mean, right now I'm running my own business. The exercise science part, right? That's the part where I have no problem studying, reading about behavior change, the exercise element. There's so many educational programs, continuing education courses, um, that that information just never stops. Constantly learning. I think the business element would have been really cool to just learn um, specific business strategies that I'm learning right now, but I think it would have been really cool just to have that guidance on something that like I'm not as willingly open to. I think it would have been cool
Mm.
just to get that time. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll still
yeah,
be in the
that probably
fitness
would have
industry
served
though.
you well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll still
yeah,
be in the
it
fitness
wouldn't
industry
change,
though.
right?
But yeah, yeah, that wouldn't change. But yeah, just like, hey, stick it out. Maybe go 2 days as a business major. Actually, go to class and see if you like it before you switch.
Yeah, I got you. All right, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the hour to, give us your advice and wisdom and
Mhm.
learn a little bit more about you and your business. If people want to find you, where could they go to learn more about your online services or get to know your business a little better?
Cool. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being on here today. Thank you, Eric, for your time. They can find me on Instagram at James King III. So it's three I's fit. And then you can also find me online on my website, which the same thing is www.jameskingIIIfit.com, in which you can reach out to me directly there, learn more about my programs that I have going on currently. And then you can train with me virtually from anywhere in the world with through the Sunny Fit app. or through their YouTube channels, their social media accounts, Sunny Health and Fitness.
Okay. Awesome. Plenty of places to find them. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
I'm all over the place. I'm also driving around the streets of LA and Orange County. Find me there too.
Yeah, it's a big scope of driving, man. Orange County is not
Yeah.
like that close.
I have my days. I have my Orange County days and my LA days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fun time though. Every day is different.
Yeah, it keeps you guessing, keeps it fresh.
Mhm.
Nice, man.
Mhm.
All right, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you again, and I'll reach out. Talk soon, man.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Have a great day.
All right, see you guys.
Later.